Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And my friends, we've done it again. No, you've done it again. Yet another amazing guest, one of the best that's ever done it. We have the one, the only Gwen this morning on the show. If you don't know, you're about to know. And she is going to be returning on the show for the fourth time. She is the wood cutting. She is the fireman marrying. She is the former audiologist and now has found her new trail that she is blazing, my friends, and it is on fire. Gwen, welcome back to the show.
I really love that update. That was good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Really good.
How is the mastermind for you?
I was just talking to Joanne about that. She said, "How did your husband like mastermind?" And it was so good. Having been to a mastermind by myself and then having been to one where my husband could come with me, it was a totally different experience and really for the better. Like it was just so great to have him there, hear from you personally, hear from the other attendees, and meet the people. It was so good. So good.
Yeah. It's always a an interesting experiment to have a spouse come, to one of these weird internet marketing events. They kind of get here and they're like, who are all these people,
Yeah.
and how do they know you? Wow. Maybe there really are real people on the other end of the phone and the internet that you're talking to,
Yeah.
and 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 it's pretty normal. It resembles at least our events being in this boutique hotel that we did in New Orleans, or right on Bourbon Street. There was, resembled a pretty normal. We're actually pretty normal people. I mean, we walked down Bourbon Street there at night, and I don't think people could tell that we were weird internet marketers. Oh wow, creepy vampires. We're pretty normal people, but we all just have a really unique goal and sort of mission. And what is it like for you to get into a room of that many like-minded individuals?
I think it is the most powerful part of business. I think one of the hardest things about online business is that it's online and you're kind of on your own.
Mm,
And so being able to connect with other people who have similar goals, who are, like-minded, who really want to work hard towards the life that they desire, it feels like you've known these people, like you've had conferences with them before, even if it's the first time that you've met them. And
mhm.
I think there's nothing like that connection. It's special.
Yeah. Yeah, there is there's you and also Sarah in the picture as well. Um, yeah, I think that, there is a lot of power in getting in the room with like-minded people. So folks, if you have a chance to get to a mastermind, which you all do, okay, our next mastermind's being hosted in Austin, Texas, in January of 2025. I think that's right. I never really find out until, a week or two before. I'm like, oh, snap. Not really. Just kidding. Not really. But yeah, if you have a chance, friends, please get there. Please try to connect and get in the same room and identify and realize that you're not alone on this crazy journey. There are other people out there that are, on the same mission. And for you, Gwen, you kind of came out of a career that, you know, every are kind of one of the top, I'd say, doctor, lawyer, accountant. I mean, these are the top three careers that we all aspire to be. If you want to take out for us boys, the baseball player,
Yeah.
whatever. What if you, for those who haven't heard your story, what brought you or motivated you to want to leave the medical industry as a doctor of audiology to move into internet marketing? And did you think that it would become a full-time thing for you?
What motivated me to get out of the field? A couple things, but I think the biggest thing was me realizing that I wasn't in charge of my time and I wasn't in charge of my finances. And I desired to be in charge of my time and in charge of my finances. Um, and it felt like, so my salary was reduced without warning when I came back to work after maternity leave. It was kind of like a slap, two slaps in the face, you know? And that was the deciding moment for me. Like, oh crap, you know, I've gone to school for 8 years. I've worked so hard to be here, but really I'm not in charge of this part of my life. And when I realized that, I started to kind of look around and see like what else is out there. You know, I don't want to go back to school. I've been to school for 8 years. I'm still paying my student loans. I don't want to do that. What else is out there? And accidentally, I saw a friend who was doing network marketing in a health and wellness field, and I was drawn to that because my mom was a huge hippie and we grew up, you know, going to the co-op and getting food. So that was like my line. And I started to see that people had the same passions, but they were actually making money doing that online. And that's when I started to see the world of the digital space. And you asked, did you know it would be this successful from the beginning? And the funny thing is that once I saw what was possible, I knew that that was going to be my reality at some point. I didn't know when, I didn't know what it would look like, but I knew that I would get there because I didn't want to be in my job anymore. So it was like, I knew without a doubt, eventually this would be my full-time thing. Not this. I had no idea it would come to this, but something in the digital world.
Mm. Yeah, it's hard to tell the future, right? I mean, as you see people coming in now and you're working with people in all facets, do you believe that they also shortchange, undershoot, minimize how successful they can be? And many would look at you and think, well, she had no limiting beliefs. Did you also struggle with limiting beliefs at the beginning or even now to this day?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, I had all financial limiting beliefs. I was in debt up to my eyeballs, even though, you know, from the outside, when someone says, "Oh, you're a doctor, you must make really good money." And just to clarify, I was a clinical doctor. I mean, I guess I'm still a clinical doctor. I don't write prescriptions and, you know, didn't do surgeries or anything like that. But still, the schooling was there, right? So 8 years of school, and I was in debt up to my eyeballs and fighting for my salary. So we think as a society like doctors make so much money and but there's just so much more behind that, and it's such a surface level belief. So financially I had all the limiting beliefs
Mm.
in the world, right? I didn't think we would ever be rich unless we got lucky. I didn't think we'd ever have money. You know, I had never spoken in front of people. In fact, when I was a kid, my sister used to speak for me because I was too shy. I was introverted. I was nervous. She would ask where the bathroom was. She would order my food for me at restaurants. So I had to overcome a lot of things to start showing up in a digital world where people were watching me that like it could be a complete stranger, you know, on the other side of the camera. People were going to say mean things. I didn't know that was going to happen, you know? Yeah, overcame a lot. And I think still working on limiting beliefs, they still creep in all the time.
What what would be something that people wouldn't know about you by watching your content that you're overcoming?
Uh, what would be something people wouldn't know about me? That I am an introvert. I really do like my little space, and I like to go to my little hole, and I like to be home.
Does that mean that it was hard for you to get on camera or put yourself out there?
Yes, and you know, this adventure that I started in May with Legendary wasn't the first time that I had gone on camera. I had tried network marketing for 7 years before that, but I remember the very first time I popped a live on Facebook, you know, and mumbled and stumbled over my words and did that a lot of times and still do that now. Like, I've gone live before where I'm like, oh my God, I have no conscious thoughts. This is not going well. There's 2 people watching. I'm just going to delete it.
Mm.
And no one would know. So I think what people don't realize is that sometimes it does take, even when you've been doing this for a long time, it still makes you nervous. And I guess that's a good thing because it means that you care.
Mm.
But it's still hard, just not as hard as it was on day 1 or day 2.
So, what about getting on stage? I mean, you have moved from, I sort of see folks in our community having the opportunity to sort of face new fears and grow into new, the new better versions of themselves, try new things,
Mm.
starting with whatever you create. And then if we notice you, we will try to give you more of a platform, starting with Wake Up Legendary, then moving on to our events.
Mm.
What was that experience like for you? And now you've spoken on our stage a few times, but what is that? And are you growing into, you know, a better version of yourself in respect to speaking on stage? And I mean, it looks natural, you look natural, but what does it feel like on the inside, and how would you describe the process of growth for you?
If you would have been there backstage the first time that I spoke, I swear to you, my face was dripping with sweat. My armpits were so wet. Like I was just sitting backstage trembling, so nervous. I think the thing is that when you're passionate about something and you have something that's exciting, it's easier to kind of, I guess, put that nervousness aside a little bit because you know that like you're sharing something that you're very excited about, and you know that it's going to benefit people. But it was very nerve wracking, and I had a goal board before I came into Legendary. I had a goal board, and I put on there paid speaker. I get my first paid speaking gig. And again, like the thing with goals is you never know when they're going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't like putting timelines to things because we can't really control that sometimes. And so when I got first asked to be part of the mastermind the first time, it was almost like it brought me to tears, like it was such an exciting thing, but also at the same time, like, oh crap, now I actually have to do the thing. I have to get up in front of people. I have to put a presentation together. I have to, bring my real self without allowing my nervousness to take over. And that battle is like this constant, I don't know, it's a constant battle to try and like navigate that. But once you do it once, when I got asked to come back to New Orleans, it wasn't, the nervousness wasn't really there as much. It's like how fast that dissipated just because I had had that one experience.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you go and you realize that you're not gonna like, you leave with all 10 fingers and all 10 toes. And I think fear is such a poison. It literally is something that we is so real, and it feels so real. It literally is the biggest, it is one of the most powerful drugs that exist without taking something. It's literally getting high in a bad way off the chemicals in our own body is exactly what it is. It's like taking a drug that that exists within our own body. And that's the funny part about it is that it's literally chemicals within our own body. It's thoughts within our own body. One of the things that's helped me, and I've done this now, I can recall back for at least 10 years. But I would visualize myself doing whatever I wanted to do at the highest level, whether that was speaking in a room, kind of watching myself, my body movements, my body language, how I was going to walk, how I was going to move around, what the audience was going to do, in do that instead of what I think so many of us do, which is replay the horror story of tripping or
Yeah.
even getting on live or creating a video, I really think that without getting too hoo-hoo in the manifestation, because I don't want to scare anybody off, I really do believe that we can think ourselves, we can create a scenario mentally before we get there and then practice it over and over again in our head.
Yeah.
And there's science behind the fact that practicing in your head is powerful, maybe not as powerful as doing it in real life, but then when you get there, you're practiced in your head. And so you're more likely to create the situation that you want to create. Humans are pretty predictable. If you do something, they're likely to do, there's always a reaction for an action. So if you do something, they're going to react to it.
Yeah.
You're shaking your head. Is visualization a part of your life now?
Yeah. And so I grew up as a competitive gymnast for 14 years, and I had a coach who would sit us down before every meet and we would watch a portion of the Rocky movie. And then when we watched that, we would end that, go sit down, and we had to put our head down, close our eyes, and practice every routine until we got to a routine where there were no mistakes. We didn't fall. It was a perfect 10. And he had us do that. And at 12 and 13, I had no idea why we were doing that. I didn't understand. But then I found myself doing the same exact thing. I wanted to buy a standard, a manual vehicle. I wanted a Jeep my whole life. My mom wouldn't let me get one, so I was on this mission to get one, and I wanted it to be a standard. But I'd never driven a standard before. So literally at bedtime, I would in my head be practicing, shifting and imagining myself driving my car. And I feel like it really did help me. I drove that car off the lot. I bought it and drove it off the lot, having never driven a standard before. And yes, I stalled a million times at the first stoplight. But, again, practice and got better. And I feel like visualization is such a huge part of that. And it's such a not talked about thing. I think people think oh, it's so woo woo and it's all the manifestation stuff, but it really is, it really works and has helped me a lot.
Yeah. This is just really true for anything in life, friends. I mean, if you want to create a powerful, positive outcome, dadgum, practice in your head.
Yeah.
If you can't go to the baseball field and take 100 swings, take 100 swings in your head. If you can't go on stage, which you can't, and speak all the time because life, well, visualize yourself. If you're having a hard time or struggling with posting videos and you're wondering what it's going to look like, well, set a commitment that you're going to record one tomorrow or later today and visualize it until you get there. Yeah. Practice the most powerful positive outcome. You would not believe the impact that both either practicing the most, and I'm talking about over exaggerate your power, because you really don't know how cool and powerful you can be, because you've never really stepped out and really just lived full out 100%. But you also, the impact that replaying, it's sort of like, would you sit your child down and play a horror film or a murder scene or something over and over and over again for that child to watch over and over again? No, that'd be insane, traumatizing. Right. Oh my God, child abuse.
Right.
But yet we abuse ourselves by not even thinking of others in negative, weird ways. We think of ourselves in this fear from those thoughts dominates us, paralyzes us, and we end up not taking action. Gwen, so many people say, well, I'm getting things set up. When somebody says that and hasn't taken any real action to publicly launch their business in months, what do you know that person is dealing with or struggling with?
Yeah, it's that fear. And sometimes it's fear of failure. But also sometimes I think it's fear of success for people, that they don't know what they're going to be able to do with it. But there's always some sort of fear of something not going in the way that it's supposed to go,
Yeah, fear of success is an interesting thought, right? Most of us can understand fear of failure, but what does fear of success mean to you? Are you struggling with that? Are you afraid of succeeding in people thinking that you think you're better than them, or losing that connection, that commiseration,
Mm.
that you know sometimes we have bonds with people over how hard life is, the
Yeah.
struggle of expensive groceries, and it's almost a pride patch that we wear, that I'm a good, hardworking person that's having a hard time affording it and making it through life. And it's almost like a being poor and struggling and being addicted to struggle has become sort of like a patch of pride. And I'm not saying that we purposefully try to stay poor, but speaking that there's an abundance in life, and not being a victim is can be off-putting to people sometimes, being too positive, right? How have you had to navigate your extraordinary internet success and the fact that you've changed careers with former friends and family,
Mhm.
that are that you may have less in common with now?
It is hard, um, because I find myself setting once I realized that a lot of friendships were based on that commiserating about, what's going wrong, and of course I got a pay reduction, like it becomes you being the victim all the time. And once I realized that that was like 90% of our conversations, and I didn't want that anymore, I did shorten up my circle and I did lose friends in the process. And I think that's part of life. It's hard because these friends are friends that you've had, for a long time. You've done a lot of things together and you've got a lot of experiences. And that's not to say that you still can't connect, but my desire to have like really close relationships with those people kind of went to the wayside because I realized that they weren't benefiting me and they didn't want to come along for the ride. They wanted to stay where they were, and that's fine. But I didn't want to stay there anymore. And I kind of I don't know, it's a weird, I don't, maybe you experience this. I think sometimes you don't even see your own success. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, the metrics. Like, I know I have a certain amount of followers on Instagram, but like, really, what does that mean? I don't feel like that is like success in my mind. I feel like success for me is seeing how many people I've been able to help, seeing how many people I've been able to influence. And it's not a likes or shares or followers on social media. I think it's more of the connection in real life with the people who want to be in this circle and who are bettering their lives.
Hmm.
Um, and I never had any kind of, I guess, person that I looked up to that had a negative connotation with success. So I never had anyone in my life that like made a ton of money and then something bad happened to them. And I didn't really have that experience or see that happen to anyone. Granted, I've seen it out in the world, but no one close to me. So I feel like that was kind of removed a little bit for me. But um, I do experience that people do talk to me differently, and that has been kind of hard. Some friends that I thought were friends now talk to me differently. It is what it is,
Yeah.
because I know that I'm bettering my life and I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah, people are offended oftentimes by you living your life, which is sort of weird. Human beings are really pretty primal
Mm,
and predictable. We're it's normal for people to feel jealous.
mm,
It's normal for people to feel um or to make up stories in their head about them, about you, if you're going after a goal or dream, to say, oh, she thinks she's better than us.
mm,
It is abnormal to find friends who will be proud of you, who will tell you good for you, who will support you no matter what. And also even more rare to find people who will both communicate that, really truly feel that, communicate that, and who are also bettering their lives, and living unapologetically,
Yeah.
and actually, putting forth effort, and living with purpose. So, for me, yeah, like I've experienced that. I've experienced people treating me differently. Um, I I have found a lot of peace in becoming my own best friend.
Mm.
I have found a lot of peace in solitude. I have found, and it's not that I'm always by myself,
Mhm.
but I've learned to be okay with myself, by myself, until I can find those people
Yeah.
who are my real true ride or die. And sometimes it takes years to find those people.
Mm.
I think, have found some great friends here in this industry. You've linked up with Sean.
Yeah.
I think that's been very positive for you.
Yeah.
I think that the other friends that you've made, I think you've also succeeded to the point to where you have an audience, and it's easier for a client to become a friend than a friend to become a client.
Mm. Yeah.
And so a lot of times your clients or people that you know through your business will become friends because they truly support you. I mean, people, if you want to know where somebody's intentions are at, you watch how they are with their money. And if they support you and they buy things from you, then they believe in you and they think that you can deliver them value. And I'll tell you, out of the thousands of acquaintances that I thought were friends, a handful of them have ever bought anything from me.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I tell you, thousands, hundreds of thousands of strangers have bought things from me, and many of them have become friends.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing to get used to, and it's a tough pill to swallow. But once you do, you stop giving away your power so much when a friend or somebody who you thought was a friend, is passive aggressive. Sometimes the comments or the energy doesn't come across as, I don't believe in you and who are you? It becomes a passive aggressiveness. It becomes, like you said, treating you differently. And you need to learn to pick up on those cues and know, ooh, okay, I'm outgrowing this person. They're uncomfortable with my growth. They're not supportive of me living my life to the fullest. I need to give this person less of my time
Mhm.
and learn how to set boundaries and not feel guilty about it.
For sure. For sure.
Guilt is something that I think plagues us just like fear. And we need to learn to give those feelings to those people, let them have it. We're not responsible for them, and not be codependent
Mm.
on the path to our success. We cannot manage other people's emotions. It is enough of an emotional roller coaster for us to pursue this journey of entrepreneurship, and set boundaries, and communicate within our own household. How have you and your husband's relationship evolved over the months or the year? How have you got his support? How
Mm.
have you made him feel safe, secure, and that you weren't running away?
Mm.
I mean, you've even got other things going on with other men in business.
Right.
So how have you maintained a health? And he is, I mean, that guy is all about you. He is totally in your corner. How
Yes.
have you nurtured that relationship and gotten his support to the maximum so you could go on and pursue something totally different?
Yeah.
While assumingly you and he are still paying on former medical student loans together.
Right. Yeah. That's a great question. I think we've always had a great one of our promises that we made to ourselves when we first started dating was that we would talk about everything. Everything was an open book. And so that has really led us to it's communication. It's telling him where I'm at. Like I'm having these thoughts. I'm having these feelings. I want to go do this. I don't like doing this. And just talking about it without expecting him to come up with a plan for me. You know, I'm not communicating because I want you to tell me what to do. I'm just communicating because I want you to hear where I'm at, and I'm curious your opinion. I want to know where you're at. So I think the first thing that was most important is open communication. I think I told you, you know, in the very beginning when I signed up for Legendary, it was the 15-day challenge when I started. It was a no-brainer for me. Like I didn't have to ask him to get the 15-day challenge. It was $7. But when I knew that I wanted the blueprints, and we had made a pact at the beginning of the year that I wasn't going to purchase any more courses because serial course purchaser, I had been searching for, I've been searching for the how-to for 7 years. But when I saw the blueprints and I knew that this was what I wanted and had been looking for, it took me 2 days to like get up the gusto to talk to him and be like, listen, I know we said we weren't going to purchase any more courses, but there's this thing and I know it's going to work and I'm just looking for this information. And we just had a conversation about it, and we couldn't afford it. We had to borrow from Paul to pay Peter. Is that the thing? Borrow from Paul to pay Peter? Like
one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other. We didn't have the money. But when you know, and you've created this trust, I think, between the two people, like you're just always open, you're always honest, that trust goes a long way. And so we've just been always open and honest, and he believes in me. He'll believe in me whatever I want to do. If I want to go start a farm, he would be like, sure, let's do it, you know? And that's just one of his greatest qualities. Like I feel like I'm lucky in the partner that I've chosen the second time around, you know? But
no, I think you are as well. And you've likely built that trust over the years by communicating and being consistent and following through and doing what you say. What do people need to do in order, if you could either go back and not to, I think you're a hard worker. I think if from what I know about you, you follow through. What I'm getting at is that I think one of the big ways that we lose people's trust, particularly a spouse, is that we buy something and then don't follow through or do anything with it. And you know, the neighbors may not see that, but if somebody's in your house, they do. And so that can be problematic, right? Because it's like that can be a breeding grounds for resentment.
Sure.
And, right?
Yeah.
And so what does somebody need? I mean, one of the things that we've noticed with people is that they do buy stuff and then don't follow through with them. What tips? Do you have anything practical that you did at the beginning that sort of created some structure for you besides just your determination to succeed? Did you time block? Did you say, I'm going to do content on this day? I mean, was there anything in particular getting launched that you remember was particularly helpful that somebody may be able to use to just get, you know, to just get some content out there and not need it to be perfect, but to get it out there and get over those initial butterflies of, you know, I'm going to be a total failure, or, you know, I'm so deathly afraid of doing this that I'm coming up with all kinds of excuses. How did you harness your ignorance on fire at the beginning to just get some stuff out there and get going?
That's a good question. That time frame was kind of like a blur for me because what I did, and here's what I tell everyone to do. I was so busy scrolling and watching everyone's lives. Like I was so in a hole at that point. Like we were upset with where we were financially. We wanted to be in a better position. And I had a personal social media account, and I would just scroll and watch what other people were doing. And that I think it took eyes off of what was going on in my life and made me feel like a little bit better. Like maybe someone else's life was worse than mine. That sounds horrible. But like, I didn't want to think about what was going on with my life.
And while you're answering this question, watch this.
Okay.
I'm going to bring up something that may be familiar to you. Your very first post inside of our group that you were launching. You were announcing it, and you were day one or one day? I choose day one. Wow.
That, like, just reading that brings tears to my eyes because I don't know if you guys can read that, but I said my main goal is to have more time to spend with my family. My husband's a hardworking firefighter and a carpenter. He works his patootie off for our family of 4, but never gets to spend time with us. And I'm doing this to free up time for us, because it's something we can never get back. And so I think, I think that that's a huge part. I knew that if I wanted to free up time, I thought, okay, what do I have to do to free up more time? How can I get going on this when I have a little bit of time? I really don't have a lot of time because I was the only one home. So it's me, my 2 kids, and he's off working all the time. So what can I do to make sure that I have the most amount of time that I can give to this to see success? And it required me to completely turn off my social media, like start a brand new social media. I didn't log into my other one anymore. I didn't scroll anymore. The only thing I used social media for at that time was just to kind of look and see, all right, what are people doing out there, and how can I create my own voice in this space and start showing up as me? I did not follow anyone. I had to put blinders on, and I didn't even open up to be like, oh my God, someone might be messaging me on my Instagram, that I haven't gotten back to. I didn't care because I wanted this so badly. So I knew that I had to get rid of the things that were taking up my time that didn't matter. And social media scrolling was getting me nowhere, except feeling maybe a little bit better for my life in the moment, but not a long-term solution to anything. So it really was blinders on. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. And I took 2 hours a day. So it was an hour in the morning and an hour at night. And I was just in my bed. I'd get ready for bed, get in my bed, do a training, implement. And actually, that's a good point too. Like I always tell people, you can't consume, and then not do anything. You have to consume, take action, consume, take action. It has to be like this ebb and flow, because you can go through an entire course watching videos and not do anything. That's not going to get you anywhere. So it's always like this balance of like, okay, I've learned and now I need to go implement.
Yeah, it is a balance, and the scale needs to begin to tip at some point more towards the doing. And I think that when to start tipping that scale is a big question for people. And it needs to be as soon as possible, yet not too soon. There's a few errors that I see people making. Number one, buying, for example, our 5-day challenge or our business blueprints and not going through it. I was actually talking about this the other day about how I can remember a mastermind. I don't know if you were there or not. It was in Orlando at a mansion, and I actually got frustrated with the audience because I had realized so many people had bought the training. For example, the blueprints. They bought blueprints in mastermind, so they had a mastermind ticket, so they came to mastermind, but they hadn't gone through any of the just starting with the affiliate marketing business blueprint training, which is the business model that we say, hey, if you have no experience and are not going to package existing information that you have, start with affiliate marketing because you can sell other people's products, right? We say this, I say this right in the challenge. And they, how did I know? Well, they were asking questions that were right in. They had no, and here I feel myself just right even in this moment because it's such a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to, so many people make a big deal about, well, I don't have the money or the money this. You aren't utilizing the resources that you have. You aren't being resourceful with what you already have. It's not about money for you. It's about resourcefulness. You have no resourcefulness. You're not being resourceful. There's people in all over the world who are making, a life out of a hut, who are making shoes out of, tree bark or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need everything that you think you need. We spend so much time, getting ready to get ready or procrastinating or just staring what we have staring at it every day and then noticing how much we don't have. And it's like, if you have or you have bought a course, particularly here at Legendary, or you are a part of Gwen's group, or you are, I don't give a damn if it's something else that you've bought out there that which I don't endorse. At least open the book and read some of it or all of it, and then because here's the problem. When we don't get the information ourselves and become knowledgeable about what's inside, then we become susceptible to other people's opinions, and we slip back into that addiction to struggle. When you have the answer right there in front of you, but we want to be, we have this seduction, this addiction with seeking and hopefully finally finding that secret guru or that magical moment, when really success is a combination of just gathering kind of clues along the way, and making and kind of basing your next move off of your past experience. But if you never gain any experience, you never have a shot. You're always at square one.
Right. I know you know Eric Worre and you're a friend of Eric, but I always remember him saying, success leaves clues, success leaves clues, and so immersing yourself in the lessons. Like, I don't think people realize the power that an education like the blueprints hold, which is all of your lessons that you learned, right? In however many years you've been in business, throughout everything you've learned and done since the very beginning. It's you overcoming a mistake and then showing up and teaching people what to do so they don't have that mistake. Like, you can't get that information unless you're going forward and doing it yourself. But to have someone else who's already made the mistake come and tell you what to do so you don't make the mistake, or like to tell you, hey, go this direction, not this direction, because this will be more profitable. That is priceless information. Like, you can't put a price on that. That's what the blueprints were for me.
Yeah. Interesting. You mentioned Eric Worre. He, back before anybody was doing any YouTubing, okay, and in any real social media marketing, this guy was, and certainly now what he did was create content, and what he still does, network marketing pro, right? So he's got an information business now where he practices the core 4 business models. He sells coaching courses and does events, and then also does affiliate marketing. Okay. He sells information, the exact thing that we teach here. And this guy has a $20 million studio, virtual studio, a private jet. I mean, this guy has gone on to be very successful doing his, lives in Las Vegas, really loves the lifestyle, and does well. Well, this guy started out 12 years ago just posting a video a day on the internet. Okay. Just posting a video a day on the internet. Okay. You can even see here where he's, I think he had marked his first, well, anyways, you can see it. It's all here for you to see. As all I did was go to Network Marketing Pro and press oldest. His latest videos are here. You can see, he's drastically updated and upgraded his business, his content, his presentation. He's doing events with Tony Robbins at them, and 10,000 people in the room. He's really taken things to the next level. Okay. But if you go back to his oldest 12 years ago, this guy was just posting a video a day on YouTube. 4, 1, 2, 2.5, 5 minute long videos, not hour-long interviews. Let's go to the latest. 1 hour 32, 1 hour 34, 1 hour 46. Just 425, 11-minute interview. 2, 3, 4, 5 minute videos. And one day he participated in this affiliate marketing launch. Now, he had never promoted anything. He was just creating content. Now, speaking of success leaves clues, he wasn't promoting anything. Many of you start your social media channels and you're like, oh, I got to promote something. Well, okay. Do you? What he did was build value and build an audience.
Yeah.
So much so that, every day he had an email list back then too. He was one of the early adopters of using email marketing, particularly in this network marketing training niche. And if you didn't get an email from Eric Worre about a new video posted that day, then you walked outside and saw it. Did the sun not come up today? Because he was about as consistent as anybody in the game. He was as consistent as if the sun was going to rise. Look, I'm still in 12 years ago. This is every single day he posted a piece of content on YouTube. Now, YouTube was the only platform. Remember that. YouTube there wasn't really any, there wasn't TikTok, Instagram. I don't even know if Facebook had bought Instagram by this point. But he decided to get involved in an affiliate marketing launch, I can remember, with a guy named Jonathan Budd. And he promoted this course that Jonathan was doing called Futuristic Marketing. And, it was one of his first, if not his first, affiliate marketing promotions. And there was all these big affiliate marketers, including me, that was participating in Jonathan's launch. He was a pretty big internet marketer, and we were all sort of in the network marketing training space back then. We all kind of came from network marketing offline, chasing friends and family, and we're like, oh, let's go online and figure out how to generate leads online. Anyways, fast forward, the end of the launch, there was about a 7-week launch where the product was available with all these bonuses at a discount, and they paid 50% commissions on the product launch. Well, Jonathan was giving away a Audi R8, a big $100,000 car. And I mean, all these big marketers thought they had it in the bag. Well, all of a sudden he closed the launch and Eric Worre was leaps and bounds above everybody, won the Audi R8, took the cake. So much so that Eric had people on his email list. They didn't even realize that they were now on Jonathan's email list. They bought the product just because he recommended it. I mean, they were emailing Eric back going, now Jonathan's emailing me. What's happening? How did his customers were confused. They'd never really even had anything promoted to them in that manner. My point here is that the consistency and the goodwill that he had poured into people in his channel by just simply being consistent on a daily basis, it didn't have to be rock star content. It just was reliable, consistent content, valuable content. No matter where he was, as you can see, he posted a video, recorded a video. Looks like he's even standing in the rain right here. Okay. He had built so much goodwill with his audience that when it came time to promote something, they trusted him so much they bought almost blindly. Nowadays, we do the opposite. We try to slam things down people's throats. I can remember the TikTok thing when I believe it's still like this. You got to have 1,000 followers before you can post your link. I mean, people just, I got to be able to post my link. I got to be able to put my link up there. I got to be able to sell something. Do you? Because you don't have an audience to sell to anyways. What comes up for you as I scroll through this? Eric, you come from the network marketing space. What comes up for you around this idea of building goodwill and not being in such a rush to promote things when you first launch your profiles?
Yeah, I think so many people get caught up in the what am I promoting instead of what do I stand for? Like, I think those questions are reversed. So instead of being like, what can I promote? What's going to make me, I can't find any high ticket products. That's the question I get all the time. Help me find a high ticket product. It's like, no, but what do you stand for first? What are your values? What do you want to help people understand? What do you want to show up and bring? And I think at the same time, people are so afraid to talk about something that's, someone else has already, and this is a lesson for me. So here I am speaking my own lesson. I need to hear this. We're so afraid to show up because someone else has already talked about that thing. But like the way Dave says it is different than how I'm going to say it. And people are going to resonate with Dave, or they're going to resonate with me, or they're not going to resonate with either of us. But regardless, like, we have our own opinions, we have our own thoughts, we have our own values. And even if I talk about manifestation and Dave talks about manifestation, it's going to be different. So I think we're so afraid to speak up about what we want to speak up about because we think everyone's already done it already. Look at Eric. He had like 20 views on those videos back there. 20 views, and maybe only 20 people were watching. But if you could get in a room with 20 people and they listen to what you had to say, that's 20 people in a room listening to what you have to say. And maybe a couple of them like it. Maybe one person doesn't. Who cares? You know? So it's value. What are your values? And I think we're lost in that because we haven't had the time, or we haven't made the time to figure out what our values truly are. We're so busy in the world, like, oh, my kid's got to go to practice, and my kid's got to go over here, and like we busy ourselves with all these things because we're afraid to be alone with ourselves, because we don't know who we are and we don't know what we want.
Well, speaking on camera, on video, will help you to learn who you are, because you're essentially interviewing yourself.
Yeah.
And I love your handle, even though I don't think handles are that big of a deal, but I just wanted to point out your handle, She Lived a Good Life, on Instagram, because I sort of view social media nowadays as kind of like a documentary of our lives. Like, what did we do? What were we doing at that time in our lives? And it's just an interesting way to look at it. What are you doing right now? What are you all doing right now with your lives? I mean, for me, I can tell you that during this time in my life, I've interviewed over 1,000 of my clients, and it's documented here online. And I've sat with them, I've talked with them, I've invested time with them to ask questions. I've become a better interviewer. I mean, I used to just be first I sucked at communicating. Then I got okay at filming videos, but I was like, talking a mile a minute, and it was kind of hard my content was a little bit too intense. Like, it was just hard to watch. And then I got better at speaking to people, speaking to their hearts, telling stories, relating to people. Then I built on that. And then when I started interviewing people, it was really hard. It was really hard for me to stop talking and transition to inviting somebody else to talk with me.
Yeah.
But over 1,000 times of practicing it day in and day out, I've gotten better at it. I still rant. I still get my 2 cents in, but I also have learned how to transition to asking questions and just being a better interviewer. And so, this is sort of my main content contribution strategy. I'm also CEO in our company, so I've got other things going on. I'm not a full-time content creator doing affiliate marketing, but I am doing full-time content in the sense that I'm online every day doing something, unless I'm on vacation. This show is what I'm doing. And so, what is the She Lived a Good Life thing to you? I know you changed it. I don't want to make too big of a deal out of handles and things, because I don't want people thinking and running that they need to change, or, that their stuff is not good enough. But do you kind of view you made that change a few months ago, I feel like, to your handle. And do you kind of feel, was it similar to what I just said? Was it something different? And what comes up for you around kind of this idea of what are you doing with your life right now? And can you use social media as both a way to create content, value, and income, but also practice getting better at communicating and documenting what you're doing with your life, so you can look back and say, hey, I can see that I've built something here. This is what I've been doing.
Yeah. The change, it was due time. Before I was financially free with Gwen, and as we go through these processes, we learn more about ourselves, like you were just saying. And what I realized was it's not, I didn't want people to think about me as just a I help you make money account.
Mm.
Yes, I understand that money is the driving force of everything. We can't do anything if we don't have money, but money gives us choices. But the reason why I wanted choices was so that I could live the life that I really wanted to live. And this whole handle came from just, if I didn't wake up tomorrow morning, what
Mm.
would I want people to say about me in my life? I would want them to say, well, at least she lived a good life.
Mm.
And I feel like that it has gotten lost on people. We're just trying to climb the corporate ladder, trying to get to the top, trying to be recognized, but did you actually live the life that you really wanted to live? And I wanted to really focus on that and allow people to ask themselves that same question. If you didn't wake up tomorrow, what would people say about the way that you lived your life? Would you be proud of that? And I want you to be. And I want to help people get to that goal. And it's so much more than money, but money is a part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that also, just in terms of us developing skills, gaining knowledge, gaining self-esteem and confidence as we bring this in for a landing, seemingly from the outside, being somebody who feels great about yourself as, a clinical doctor and all this other stuff. How has this journey since, what was it, May of 2023, impacted your confidence and self-esteem?
I don't I can't put a number on it. It's hard to quantify that feeling. I think it's just being able to wake up every day and feel a little bit more confident about you going towards your goals, about what you're doing, about knowing that you can change your mind or change your Instagram handle and it's not the end of the world. These silly little things that I think get us down really are so meaningless at the end of the day. So it has broadened, I think, my energy. Like, I imagine like a giant bubble around me, like it's good bubble. Like my energy is good and the people who I want inside this bubble are here. I don't know if that really answers your question, but it's that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in is that different than how you felt before?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Every day, wake up and, what bill is going to come out today that I can't afford? Well, am I going to go to the grocery store today and be like, I don't know, is my debit card going to work? I don't know. If it doesn't, am I going to have a credit card that can cover my purchases? I don't know, because I'm pretty maxed out. Like, that fear that lives inside of you, it's not good. It's crippling. It's crippling. So the confidence, the going for it, the proof that you can literally do anything that you want to, definitely builds your confidence slowly but surely. But gosh, it has felt like a quick year.
And the thing that's coming up for me around your answer is that we really can change our situation so much easier than how we act. I mean, human beings stay in shitty situations for so long as if they're trapped. I mean, we are not animals. We are humans. And sometimes we act like the elephant who gets chained up as a baby on the leg to the stick to train, or the tree or whatever, to train them that if they got the chain on their leg that they can't get away. And then as they become big multi-ton animals, is all it takes is to put that little chain on their leg and they feel like they can't run away.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the perfect analogy for how we act with toxic relationships or relationships that are no longer serving us. I mean, marriages that have, reached their expiration date. jobs that have reached their expiration date, friendships, situationships, all the, we just act like we're stuck in them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you are not stuck. And here's part B to that, is that you will figure it out.
Yeah.
Things always come together. If you didn't, we would see. Now, granted, I get it. There are homeless people and skid rows exist, but in America here anyways, and most for, countries that are not third world countries where people are all, and that's a different story. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
But the people who are tuning into this, watching this, go around your city and do you see families living on the streets? For the most part, no. Sure, there are. I don't want to minimize it. I'm a recovering addict. I know about homelessness, and I know where people are on the streets. But don't things most of the time work out? You find a way. You figure it out. You find a way to not be in the rain. You find a way to get a roof on your head. And sometimes you suffer through a crappy situation for long enough, but when you've changed or when you got fired or let go or et cetera, didn't you figure it out?
Yeah.
The answer is always yes. The answer is always yes. So the problem is most of the time we wait for somebody else to make the decision for us.
Yes.
Rather than us taking what feels like a major leap of faith on our own.
100%.
And that's where the lack of control comes from, and the feeling of lack of control versus you feeling like you're in control of your life.
Yeah.
Which is the feeling that we all want. We all want, if we were to boil it down, what does freedom mean? What does all these buzzwords that we use mean? Financially free. What does that mean? It means feeling in control of your life. And when you are living on default, waiting for others to make decisions for you in any situation, whether it's they're going to get the divorce, they're going to leave, this friend's going to stop calling, the boss is going to come in and tell me that I'm fired. When I'm waiting for everything to happen instead of me initiating it, that doesn't mean that I better do it before they do it. It means that I need to say, what do I want and what is not matching in my life with what I want and meeting my needs.
Yeah.
And I need to speak about it and act on it and get in control of my life as much as I can be.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So, my friend, this has been wonderful once again. Thank you so much for your time. We will send everybody over to She Lived a Good Life on Instagram to follow you, connect with you, and come back and see me. I know you will. And thank you so much for being so, generous with your time and your knowledge now that you are busy and you are successful. And congratulations for that. You deserve it.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk to you later, Gwen.
Sounds good.
See you. Bye. All right, my friends, you can go and find and follow Gwen over on She Lived a Good Life. She Lived a Good Life on Instagram. She's also on YouTube. Okay. You can find her there. We've got her full name up on the screen for you to go and type that in. Start with Instagram, though. She's right over on Instagram. She Lived a Good Life. All right, my friends. Wow, what an episode. Fantastic conversation this morning. Always is with Gwen. Check her out. Endorse her stuff. She's good. She's good. She's got it going on. She knows what she's doing. And she's really, really a great example of what's possible when you take control of your life, when you take your power back instead of giving it away. And so, my friends, if it feels hard, that's because it is hard. Embrace the hard, embrace the suck. It's going to suck. There's times where it still sucks for Gwen. It's times when it still sucks for me. It's not easy every day. Look, I've had sleep apnea for like the longest time and didn't really know it. And this week, started on a damn BiPAP machine, and I'm like, my whole life has changed. I'm like well rested now. Imagine that, right? Yeah, life sucked. I was tired, right? You never know where you're going to find improvement that's going to impact your business. I feel like I could go another 2 hours this morning because I'm just well rested, right? It's about not living in default and always finding where can I improve, taking the bull by the horns. That means your family, your finances, your fitness, your faith, all of those things. Take them by the horns. Seek out solutions. If you got the blueprints, go through them. If you don't and you have the 5-day challenge, go through it. If you're learning somewhere else, if you're involved in something that Gwen's doing, pay attention, use it before you lose it, right? Before you lose it, you got to use it. It's like riding a bike, and do it every day. You'll get better and you'll grow even though you don't feel yourself growing. You're growing. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode of Wake Up Legendary. My friends, have a beautiful, blessed day. Stay legendary. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Peace.